Hi, this is Marlene with Miami Ghost Chronicles, and I want to welcome you to another episode of Stories of the Supernatural. Wherever you find us, whether it's a video or podcast on your favorite platform, please like and subscribe to us so that you can get notification of when a new show is released. You can also find us on major social media platforms. If you go to miamighostchronicles.com, you can find links to the videos or MP3 files, which you can download and enjoy without commercial interruptions. If you're into classic horror, ghost, and adventure stories, I narrate Nightshade Diary, and you can find links at nightshadediary.com. If scary stories are your bag, and listening to encounters with cryptids, ghosts, dogmen, and other weird creatures sends a shiver up your spine, then go to supernaturalstorytime.com for links to our weekly podcasts. Noteworthy news about the paranormal world, true crime, conspiracy stories, and anything that is just plain weird can be found at eerie.news or visit the Stranger Than Fiction Stories tab at miamighostchronicles.com. Please subscribe to my newsletter on Substack. Just go to mppellicer.com for a link. I want to thank you for being part of my audience, and I think you are all wonderful. Hi, everybody. This is Marlene with Stories of the Supernatural. How's everybody doing? Good, I hope. I'm doing good myself. And today I have a special guest, and his name is Flat Earth Dave. And let me tell you a little bit about him before we get going, though I'm sure some of you may have already heard of him before now. He hails from the East Coast of the United States, where he was born and raised. He began his flat earth journey when he left his very lucrative corporate job and started his own company. As a hobby, he hosted a conspiracy comedy show at New York City Comedy Club for 3 years. After many fans urged that he look at what he considered to be a ridiculous notion called flat earth, he sought out to disprove this conspiracy and put it to bed once and for all. It was then that he discovered flat earth was in fact the true earth and hasn't looked back. He is now on a mission to wake up the world to flat earth because it is the most important topic today, especially in light of today's current political and social climate. All right. And of course, I'll remind you guys, as far as for the podcast listeners, for his links, and there'll be credits in the links in the credits of the show. But I know your bio is very short, Dave. But
Yes.
How did you hear about it to begin with? That
How do I
theory?
hear about flat Earth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who told you about it?
Just real quick, my bio, my links are easy. flatearthdave.com. Everything's there.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
Flatearthdave.com. So I was doing a conspiracy analyst show, right? I hate the term conspiracy theorist because we're not conspiracy theorists. We're conspiracy analysts. You want conspiracy theory? Turn on the news, and they'll tell you stuff that has no basis to it. Those are called conspiracy theories.
Okay.
So we were looking into all of the big events that happened, New York and Boston and everything else. And people started sending me in the third year, said, "Hey, Dave, have you looked into flat Earth?" And when the first email I got, I was like, "Oh, that's funny." I don't think it's really a funny joke, but he's trying to be funny. Okay. And then they kept coming. They kept coming more and more and more. And Dave, just watch this 2-minute video, and I wouldn't do it. I'm like, listen, I'm willing to look at anything. You tell me you got a video of Bigfoot, let me see it. Let me look at it. You say that you saw a UFO and you saw a gray being, let me see it. Show me what you got. Let me analyze it. Flat Earth, get out of here. Dumbest thing ever. Okay? Of course we live on a globe. What about all the photos from Earth? What about sunsets? What about seasons? What about ships over the horizon? All pre-programmed nonsense, which I find out later. And so I refuse. And then my good friend Sophia Smallstorm, I was having a discussion with her about the deception in the world was just killing me. I was like, there's so much deception. And she goes, "Oh, Dave, it's worse than that. I think the earth might be flat." And I like, "Are you kidding me?" I literally just finished banning a whole bunch of people from ever commenting on our podcast again for harassing me to look into flat earth. Okay. So she sent me a couple of videos, Mark Sargent's Clues, Eric DeBay's 200 Proofs. And I watched them reluctantly with a bad attitude. I'm like, I'm going to disprove flat earth. I'm going to prove the globe. Okay. And that's how you become a flat earther. The only people that cling onto the globe are the ones that refuse to look at the information. The ones that go, "Oh, I'm going to look. I'm going to Google. Is the earth flat? Top 10 reasons why it's not flat."
Let me ask you something, but I guess what I'm saying is, everybody hears, Galileo and how, whatever. But, and then of course, as time goes by and it was, everybody thought or knew, or it was taught. How's that? that the Earth was round; it was a sphere. But I'm talking recently. When I say recent history, who was the proponent that decided to sacrilege say that it was flat? Was there somebody that, or a triggering event, somebody in recent history that basically was flying in the face of what was considered science?
So history is a lie agreed upon by the victors, by the controllers of our world.
Yes.
And people say, well, we've known for 2,000 years. The Greeks figured it out. Aristophanes with his sticks and shadows. We can look at that and show you how, one, it doesn't prove the Earth is a globe. It proves the Earth is flat. And they've just twisted it. And the other is it's a made up story. Aristophanes never did that experiment. It's all a joke, right? So in 2020, in February, I was interviewing this woman, Ruth, 102 years old. She's sharp as a tack about the World's Fairs, which is a whole nother rabbit hole you got to go down sometime. And I said to her off the cuff, never mentioning flat Earth, I said, what did they teach you in elementary school? Because she knew the name of her school, her teacher, everything. She had perfect memory. Like I can barely remember my teachers. And she said that they taught me the Earth was flat. This was in the 1920s. Okay. They taught her that the Earth was flat in public school here in the USA. Okay. And then we find out that, like the Gleason's map, which is the most accepted flat Earth map, was in every library, in every school, in every encyclopedia up into the 1950s. When I told her, she broke down crying. She was like, "Oh my God, I've always known it. I've always known it.
Okay.
This is amazing." So when what we found out in the 1950s, they were teaching flat Earth and globe Earth in American public schools. Okay. Met a woman from Croatia, said in the 1930s and 40s, they were only teaching flat Earth. Okay. So this is a relatively new thing. It's they've inserted stuff into the Rockefeller textbooks that they want you to memorize and regurgitate. If you do a good job, you can become a teacher and you can teach it to the next generation. So teachers aren't lying. They're just regurgitators of Rockefeller-funded information.
Now, let me ask, why? Why would
I'm reading your mind because I can read everyone's mind. I want to say, what difference does it make? I still have to go to work on Monday. What does lying about the shape of the Earth? How does that affect anything? Okay, and we'll address it now. But the thing is, first you got to look at the evidence. Like you walk into a room and there's dead people everywhere, blood all over the place. You don't go, why? I don't believe it. Why? You look at the evidence. You go, there's dead people here. Okay. Something killed them. Okay.
Okay.
Right? And then you can find out the motive. So we're going to look at all the dead people through the next hour. But but the reason why is because it's a prison for your mind. What do I mean by that? Okay. So it's a prison for your mind. You understand that your thoughts create your reality. Everything you have in your life is because of the way that you think, right?
Sure.
Right. And so, So if they can cut your mind off, right? Here's Mark Sargent always says this. You put a lion in a 1/4 acre fenced in area, he's going to pace that fence all day. He wants to get over that fence, right? A wild animal. But you put him in a 500 acre safari park. When he gets to the fence, he's going to go, he's going to turn around, right around and not worry about it because he's got plenty. Put a human in a 5,000 mile, 50,000 mile fenced in area. They just want to go to the other side of the fence. Okay. So how can you imprison somebody? And this is how they did it. Okay. So here's a map of the world. Imagine if we just cut out America, a little bit of South America. You got Mexico in there. Okay. We erase the rest of the map and we wrap it around a sphere and we teach kids this is the whole world. This is all there is. And no one's allowed to explore this white dot down here. Okay. Which is really the edge. All right. So imagine the world is a whole bunch of ponds, the world pond. We live in a pond, right? And there's other ponds, pieces of the plane. We'll call them planets, right? And we live right here. This is our whole world. Here it is, America, South America. You see it? They cut it out. They wrap it around a sphere and they say, this is all there is. There's nothing else. And you're not allowed to explore south. So what does that do? That puts you in a place where your mind is in a prison. You can never expand your thoughts. You believe that we're running out of food, we're running out of land, that this is all that there is, that that governments have authority over you, that you have no rights. Right? This is how they do it. And once you understand that you don't live on this ball flying, an insignificant speck flying through space, you realize that you're at the center of creation. Once you realize you're at the center of creation and that the world is intelligently designed, not a made up Big Bang by a Jesuit priest, okay, who made it up, right? Once you understand that you're at the center, then you take your power back. And guess what? If we take our power back, realize that no government, mind control, govern the mind, government, no one has control over you, then they lose power. So it's all about controlling the slaves. We are slaves in their fiat-based currency money system, which is all fake, right? We're trapped on their globe when all the presidents and all the world officials are all going to Antarctica on really weird times.
So let me, yeah, I know. Everybody thinks like, what's up there? It's or down there, whatever. It's just ice
out there,
supposedly.
out there.
Yeah, I know.
Antarctica is out south.
I know. I'm sorry.
Point in any direction. Every direction you point is actually south.
So, well, I was going to ask you, if you go by what you just showed me, that in other words, we were taught it's a sphere, but basically it's this. So what you're saying is, if we went beyond the edges of what we think is our spherical world, it keeps going, is what you're saying. There's more land out there. There's more space out there.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. To prove the shape of the Earth, we do not need to go beyond where they won't let us go, which is 60 degrees south. We do not need to pay $50,000 to go to Antarctica for 3 days where they don't let us explore anyway. Right. But the amount of evidence, the amount of book, the amount of history, the amount of evidence that there is more land, more civilizations beyond is overwhelming in my book. But we don't need to leave our own town to prove that the Earth is flat. Go to water, large bodies of water at rest, lay flat, on a ball 24,901 miles around. We could only see 3 miles before the Earth drops 6 feet. So I'm standing there 6 feet tall, looking at the edge of the water. I shouldn't be able to see the surface of the water beyond 3 miles, according to globe math. Right? Do the math. You'll understand that that's what it dictates. But I could see the surface of the water for dozens of miles. Okay,
I understand what you mean.
I could see it. Yeah. So we can see too far. I mean, there's so many things. But if you want to talk about what's going on beyond Antarctica, that's one of my favorite things to talk about. So let me tell you a quick little story about what happened. Okay. So there's this map. This is a map from, where is it? There we go. So this map, this was a map that was found in a Buddhist temple. It's like 10 centuries old. It was published in a Hawaiian magazine, I believe in 1910, a Hawaiian newspaper. And it shows here we are, South America, North America, right? Got Africa, Australia, and all of these other continents out here, like 30, 40 continents out here.
Okay.
What is that about? Okay. And then, you Google this and like Google's like, oh, it's a cartoon. It's an artist rendering, right? They're going to say whatever. To me, I believe it's a true map. Okay. Or close proximity. All right. So then somebody was looking at, you can track all the cargo ships in the world, and they're all over here. You click on any one of them, and it'll tell you all the information about the ship, how big it is, captain, where it's going, what it's got, where it left, where, dates. It gives you everything, tells you everything it's doing. But they noticed a ship several hundred miles inside of the shoreline of Antarctica. I actually got an email from somebody today that found another ship almost 800 miles inside of the shoreline of Antarctica. How did it get there? Marlene, how did a ship get 800 miles?
This is no tributary, nothing like an inland river, nothing. This is Earth. I mean, Earth, like no land. Inside. They have problem getting to Antarctica because of the ice in the water. Right, exactly.
Okay, to 800 miles, right? And there was several of them, a line of them. Like, so what's going on there? So they click on one of the ships, and it had very little information. Didn't tell you who the captain was. Didn't tell you anything. It just said it was from the island or from the nation of Kiribati. Have you ever vacationed to Kiribati, Marlene?
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. Okay, so let's check this out. Where's Kiribati? It's so small, I had to put a pin on it. Okay, where is it? There it is. Okay, it's in the middle of the Indian Ocean. In the middle, it's on the date line, which we're going to get to in a second. Okay, you zoom in on this thing, and it's friggin' a sandbar. Okay, nobody lives over here. It's just part of it is inhabited. Okay, and they got a ship 580 meters long, 80 meters wide. It's a gigantic ship. It's huge, and what's it doing registered here, and what's it doing in an impossible place in Antarctica? Right. And then meanwhile, the United States, China, other nations, they're all saying Kiribati is a very important trade route. Wait a minute. Why does a ship need to stop at Kiribati? What are they picking up? Sand? Okay.
Exactly.
What are they picking up? Where are they getting fuel? There's no pineapples. There's not even enough land to grow pineapples. Okay.
Okay.
So, and China gave them $10 billion, an important trade route.
The $10 billion? That's a lot of money.
$10 billion, right? $10 billion. Wait, one other thing. There's a hotel on Kiribati called the Captain Cook Hotel. You know about Captain Cook?
Yes, of
Captain
course.
Cook he tried to sail around Antarctica, which is like 11 to 12, 13,000 miles around.
Yes.
It took him 3.5 years. He went over 68,000 miles. 68,000 miles when the equator is only 24,000 miles.
Yeah, it's like how many times?
How much more evidence do you need that we don't live on a globe?
I've never heard of that about Cook's thing. I'd never heard about that mileage. That's incredible.
Yeah. Oh, 68,000. So my contention is, what if Kiribati is right about here? There is a trade route out here to another world, other lands, other civilizations. Right? Imagine if you lived in America your whole life and no one invented a boat or an airplane yet, and then all of a sudden a boat was invented and you could go and all of a sudden you get to China. Okay? Right. Those are extraterrestrials because they come from extra territory that you didn't know about.
Well,
extra terra.
You could look at it that way. Sure. Okay? Yeah.
So what if this is a trade route? What if they're getting weapons or technology, computer chips, or tuna fish? I go out and order tuna sushi all the time. Where's it all coming from? I don't know. Everyone's eating tuna all the time. Where's it coming from? Maybe it's coming from out here. Okay. Maybe they're trading human. Maybe the whole thing with the president, was it not Rockefeller? Truman, where he made a deal to trade, humans for experimentation,
right.
Whatever,
he had
aliens.
With ETs.
Maybe that had some truth to it. Maybe it was just a treaty with another nation. Okay, another civilization.
Okay,
I'm not saying this is true.
No. I know what you're saying is without having visited it. It's like you have to think what would be the motivation for, like you said, that loan from the Chinese government for this little speck of land out in the middle of the Indian Ocean. That's a lot of money.
And so we have our globe Earth, right? And you have the North Pole and the South Pole, and then you draw 24 lines equally spaced around. Those are all the time zones, right? So as you spin,
exactly.
All the time zones move through the noon. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's one time zone that is really weird. You see it over here. Look at this one. It zigzags. Okay. Well, why wouldn't they all be exact? Why wouldn't they all be exact? If the Earth was a globe, like they tell us, it would all be exact, right? So here's a zoom in on the one that's the most weird. This is a time zone.
Okay.
What is this? You know what this is? You know what here? You know what this red pin is? That's Kiribati.
Really?
You know what that means? Because I don't. Okay, it's just in a very.
That's a weird. I'm just saying, it's like it does like this little detour kind of deal.
The most important trade route, China and the United States, two of the biggest, most powerful countries in the world, are saying this little sandbar with these sand people is an important trade route, and then they got ships and a Captain Cook Hotel that are going to impossible places inside of the land of Antarctica.
Okay.
There's too many things going on right there for me to say nothing's going on here. Nothing. Okay.
Let me ask you something, Dave. Then what do you say? Let's say if we look up in the sky and we see the moon, which is spherical. Is that real? I mean,
it looks spherical, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You think the moon is spherical? Let me ask a question. I think the moon is spherical. Okay. I'm looking at the lights on my ceiling and they're spherical too. Am I standing on a spherical floor?
No.
How come the lights in my ceiling are spherical?
Well, we're talking about the size comparison of one to the other.
Well, wait, how big is the moon? To me, it looks like it's the size of a basketball.
Yeah, depends. Waxing, waning, or where you're on the earth. But I understand what you mean as far as the size of it.
Yeah, you don't know the size. So, for example, I got 4 moons right here. Okay. Are they all the same size?
Not really. A little bit, but not really.
Well, they're close, but like this one could be a lot closer and smaller, and this one could be a lot farther and bigger. You would never know. Right? You wouldn't know until the hand grabs it. Are they all spheres?
Yes. Or
Okay,
they look to
so here's
be.
the first one. It's a half a sphere. Well, it's hard to tell because it was turned around. How about this one?
Okay.
This one, that's definitely a sphere, right? That was a sphere?
Well, it looks like it.
Yeah, it's flat. Okay. How about that? Is that a
Okay.
sphere?
Yep, looks like it.
It does, doesn't it? Well, I can have my bowl of cereal in that sucker.
I'm
Okay.
starting to feel like I'm in the Truman Show. Stop
Well,
that.
here's the thing. Unless you can touch it, unless you can measure it, unless you
Right.
can know the distance, know the size, you can't say anything about it. Okay.
Right.
Everything looks like a sphere. Okay. It looks like a
Okay.
sphere. For example, see this? This could be the sun, it could be the moon. Is it
Yes.
spherical?
Looks that way. Looks round.
It
Yeah.
looks spherical, right?
Yes.
Did you know everything goes into the vanishing point, and in the distance, I don't care what shape it is, it's a
Mm-hmm.
sphere. Okay.
Sure.
But let,
Yeah.
let me let me fast forward. This is actually a train coming towards you. Okay, well, the lights are round on a train, but it's
Right.
not really. Look,
Yeah. Exactly. It's just.
but that looks like a sphere. So maybe
Yeah.
the moon is this. Maybe the moon is the face of a train. Okay. It's not. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
is you can't say anything about it. Okay. You can't say
Okay.
anything about it until you can touch it or measure it. Right.
So do you mean then that when we look at the sky, let's say, well, obviously the moon, we see it because it's very close to us, supposedly, but not. But you see all
It's
these
a quarter
stars.
of a million miles away. A quarter of a million miles away. Do you know what the inverse square law of light is?
No.
So the inverse square law of light says every time you double the distance to a light, it's one
Mm-hmm.
quarter of the brightness. Okay, that
Okay.
makes sense. Get a flashlight, hold it right in front of your eye. It's like, then move it a foot away. It's not bad. Move it 2 feet away. It's, well, much easier. Move it 4
Right.
feet away. Forget it. It's beautiful, right? It's getting
Right.
dimmer and dimmer. Okay. So for us to see the moon at the brightness that we see it, if you went halfway to the moon, it would be
Okay.
4 times brighter. Halfway again, 4 times that, 16.
Okay.
Half that, 64 times brighter. And by the time you got to 100 miles from the moon, it would be 60 times brighter than the sun. Unimaginable. You can't imagine what twice the brightness of the sun is, right?
Right.
Right.
Oh.
You can't. So
No,
when
it would be for us if you go by sunlight or daylight, it would be pretty hot. It would be like
right, you'd vaporize.
Yeah, exactly.
So when we look at the moon, it's lit all the way across, edge to edge. When you put a single source light on a ball, you see the hot spot from my ring light right here.
Sure.
Okay. So you would see a hot spot from a light and then it would dim out, right? When's the last time you saw a dusty, dirty rock reflect light a quarter of a million miles where it can cast a shadow or you can read a book by it? The answer is this is scientifically impossible. Does this look like it's a quarter of a million miles away? Or does it look like it's right near the clouds?
No, it looks pretty close. Well,
it looks pretty close, right?
Well, yeah, as far as if you look at the reflection, as far as
So here's the moon. This is the moon, and it's lighting up this cloud. Why isn't it lighting up this cloud? It's a quarter of a million miles away. What difference does that little difference make? This is telling you that this light that we see is way closer than they're telling us. Okay, I don't think the moon or the sun that we see is a physical moon or sun. Okay, I think it's an apparent moon or sun. Let me show you what I mean.
But obviously we must have some type of sunlight or something producing sunlight and warmth.
Oh, absolutely. When you take the sun and you take a magnifying glass and you make that little hot spot where kids used to burn ants.
Right.
Okay. Do that with a magnifying glass. And it looks like a little sun. Now lift that up in the air, and that spot is there, but it's in the air somewhere. Move your hand around, you'll find it. You're like, oh, there it is. And put a piece of paper on there. It literally looks like the sun, and it's hot like the sun. Right. I think that the sun that we see is something like that. So here's a little experiment I did. I got a square flashlight, looks round. It's on the other side, 10 feet on the other side of this. And we're looking at this. This is a sheet hanging in the room. And I got Paige over to my left. And I said, hey, where do you see the sun? Right. I'm over here. And she goes, well, I see it right there. That's from her point of view. Right. So she sees, if I put a little X on the sheet, she sees it over here while I'm seeing it over there at the same time. We're both seeing the same thing at the same time in two different places. Okay. How is that possible? Okay. This is how it's possible. So I think that the sun and the moon that we see are within or above what we call the firmament or our personal atmospheric dome of vision. All of
Okay.
this stuff is I have videos on my channel, DITRH. That's my
Hmm.
YouTube deep inside the rabbit hole. Um, and you have to look at this stuff to see the experiments. See, we have, even Globers admit that we see in this azimuthal grid of vision, or this personal atmospheric dome. And that's how we see. We can only see a certain distance in all directions. And if you connect all those points, it makes a dome of vision. And that's where all the lights in the sky appear, the stars, the sun, and the
Okay.
moon. They appear on our dome of vision. So here's the other thing. Globers love to look up at the sky to figure out the shape of the floor. That's because that's all they have, because we can't go up there. We can only speculate. Well, the star, you can't see the North Star from the south. Nobody can see the North Star. That proves the Earth is a globe. No, it proves perspective. Okay.
Right.
You can't see a street light 5 miles down the road because it merges with the horizon. Okay.
Right.
It just merges. You have to understand perspective. And when you're standing on the Terra, the Earth, and you
Hmm.
have a celestial light, the sun or the moon or a star, then you have the atmospheric layer in the middle, and all of that goes together and creates what I call a horizontal eye zone,
Okay.
the horizon.
So let me ask you, if these continents, if you want to call them, that are off, what, they're only accessible via waterways? In other words, you have to sail on it, or is there any landmass that you've ever heard of?
We
I
don't
mean,
know.
that
We're
you
not
could
allowed to get
travel,
there.
like, remember how they said that there was a landmass between what, Siberia and North America at one point, that you basically humans could walk. Have you ever heard? Or the only way to get to one of these places is on a ship?
Either a ship or some sort of aircraft, or maybe there's
Right.
tunnels. Maybe there's
But
trains.
no,
Maybe that's
no,
where,
no, like no migration, like, hey, we're gonna trek out there. No.
you're not
And
allowed
I'm
to go
just
beyond.
saying, because it makes it more plausible, as in why it would be so difficult to find them. That unless you
Well,
had.
here's the thing. This is my app, the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. I'm going into the images section. I just loaded it,
Okay.
so it's going to take a second to load.
Okay.
And you know about the Antarctic Treaty?
No.
So the Antarctic Treaty, back in the 1950s, Admiral Byrd started, Operation High Jump, interesting.
Hmm.
And he said there's more land beyond the South Pole, bigger than the United States, that no human has ever set eyes upon, that's filled with resources: coal, uranium, natural gas, everything we
Okay.
need, oil. And then, in a time when we're in wars for land and resources, every
Sure.
nation in the world agrees nobody can go there.
Why? Yeah, it's a good
So,
question. Why?
the whole world can agree on two things. One, nobody can go to Antarctica. And two, everybody needs the thing stuck in their arm. Okay. Everyone needs to be a human pincushion.
Exactly.
All
Exactly.
right.
And
So,
that's two good questions as to why.
yeah, both of them. So the Antarctic Treaty what went into effect in 1959 or 1959. Yeah, 1959. And if you try to go to Antarctica, you will be stopped, right? They have some fishermen tried to go there, went too far, and a destroyer literally intercepted them, turned them around. People have gotten permission from their countries to go. They get stopped, they get turned around, they get sent home.
I was going
And
to
then when
ask
they
you, is this like multinational
Oh yeah,
or
immediately 12 of the largest countries signed on to it, and now almost every country in the world has signed on to it, except a few outliers. But
okay.
remember the Falkland War,
Yes, of course.
right? What was that about? Falkland War. This little
That
puppy
was a
right
weird
here.
little war. It's like,
Yeah,
aren't you
because now there's a military base there, military base, military
really?
base, on all of these islands, all of these spaces, all the way around, equally spaced around the world. Interesting,
I
equally
did not
spaced,
know that.
and in between these vast distances, this is a vast distance, thousands of miles.
Uh-huh.
Um, there's buoys. There's a grid of radar buoys, right? So you
Okay.
cannot get beyond 60 degrees south, right? 60 degrees south is like this pink line right here. You're still so
Okay.
far from Antarctica, you can't even see it, right? And if
Okay.
you cross that line, you will be stopped and you will be turned around. But they're like, oh, you can go with the right the right permits and stuff. Nonsense. On the app, in the frequently asked questions section,
Hmm.
if you go to Antarctica and the 24-hour sun, there's videos about the Antarctic Treaty where we've done the work for you. We'll show you
Okay.
that it'll cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars to apply. You'll get denied, and they'll keep your money.
So let me ask you, the gist of the theory, of the treaty was nobody allowed up there. Is that basically the bulk of the
The
agreement?
gist of the treaty was two things. We must protect the penguins and the ice. Funny, isn't it?
From what? Who knows at this point?
It's the only pristine place left on Earth, and we have to preserve it. Okay. I don't even know if there are penguins in Antarctica, except ones that they brought there, like a zoo. So when you go to, when you take a trip from Santiago to Deception Island, they take you to a friggin' island called Deception Island, right next to Rothschild Island. They show you some penguins. I think that they brought the penguins there. Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah.
Right?
For like
the whole
like
story
the
of
optics.
The penguins freezing their butts off and stuff. It's all nonsense, right? It's all absolute and total nonsense.
Seriously. And the reason why I'm saying is normally for all these nations, especially powerful ones, to agree to a treaty, there's usually something important, very important, you would think, that they say
longest standing treaty in history, and it can't even be questioned until the year 2041.
Really?
Don't you think ExxonMobil would be like, taking out full page ads in the New York Times going, let us go to Antarctica. There's nobody there. There's no animals there. There's no people. There's no forest. There's no nothing. There's just fuel for you that we can get cheap. And no, nothing. No one says boo. No one says boo about Antarctica. Yeah. Right? You're not allowed to talk about it.
In other words, where are all the lobbyists from these petroleum companies beating
the answer is if we went to Antarctica, we would find out we don't live on a globe. And that would then we'd all of a sudden see the fence that's been put around us, and everybody would go, I want to go to the other side. In the app, on the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, found on flatearthdave.com, if you go to the book section, I highly, highly recommend this. Scroll down, and there's a book called The Iron Republic. Okay. And it's a story, I'll keep it short. A politician in New York was fed up with politics and everything in the 1800s. He sold his house, sold everything, got a big ship and a crew, went to Antarctica, and he found an opening. He found an opening in Antarctica, and they kind of went into it a little bit, and then it sucked them through, and then they popped out into the ocean again, and they were lost. They were lost for a long time. So, maybe he went through, let's say he went through here. They're lost in the ocean for 3 months. Then they found land, and they saw a city. They pulled up and a boat came out, and the guy's like, hey, we're from America. Where are we? He goes, this is the Iron Republic. And they go, what's that? He goes, well, it's on the other side of Antarctica, about the same distance as the United States is.
So the Iron Republic knows about us, but we don't know about them.
So the Iron Republic, the bottom line is, in the 1600s, they were tired of the tyranny that was going on here. So they picked up and left, and they went out to the outer lands and started their own country. Okay. They started their own civilization. This is them. So the guy lived there for like 10 years, and he got married. He fell in love, got married, and his wife ended up dying, and he got distraught, and he went back and he landed in Florida and told the story. And he told the story. They had flat screen TVs and floating electric cars and the silent city and a whole different government, all this detail. Okay. It was all published in Florida Magazine. And guess what? You can't find a single copy of that magazine anymore, right? You can find a copy of anything on eBay. Every single physical copy has been removed.
I have run across that with certain things that you try looking them up, and not even for $1,000 will you find the out of print version of certain things. I know what you're talking about. That is like, come on.
So tyranny. Can you imagine tyranny? I couldn't imagine tyranny. So why would we ever want to leave here? This place is wonderful.
Does it mean that if they wanted to come this way, they're not allowed to either? Like, in other words, if there was...
There's another book in here. It's a really short book. It's really easy. It's called The Navigator Who Crossed the Ice Wall. Okay. And this book right here, Navigator Across the Ice Wall. It's actually 3 little books, and you can literally sit down in one sitting and read them. And it's a story about different people and groups that have traveled in between these ponds. What do I mean by the ponds? Okay. So I'm a fan of this theory. This is our greater world. Okay. we live here in the center of, let's say, this pond, and here's
Right.
other pond, right? A piece of the plane they occupy, a piece of the plane might be called the planet, right?
Right.
Piece of the
Okay.
plane, planet, right? And so you can travel between. Now, maybe this is a hostile land, and maybe this is friendly lands, and maybe these
Right.
people are high tech, and maybe these people are primitive, and whatever.
Okay.
And so the whole story is about there's a group called the custodians. They're the ones that allow the travel, kind of like the
Okay.
Galactic Federation, if you will,
Right.
right?
Okay.
And then there's hostile lands. Maybe that's like the Klingons or whatever.
Yeah.
Just
Right.
think of Star Wars. And they also said that all humans that are a high enough vibration to travel between these worlds, they all have a connection to the creator called the Source. What does
Okay.
that sound like? The Source. They have this
Yes.
power within them called the Source, the
Okay.
Force, the
Right.
Force from Star Wars. So
Yes, of
Star Wars
course. May
is
the force be
literally
with you.
is a story about a reality that's here on Earth in the outer space, not outer space, the outer space.
Space.
Okay. Everyone's waiting for disclosure. Disclosure's here. It's a day trip away.
So,
It's not light years away.
I have to ask you, do you think that then these stories that you hear about Atlantis
Oh, absolutely.
comes
100%
from
true.
that?
There's so many stories. Atlantis. I mean, when you start looking, have you looked into the giant trees and giants and stuff on Earth?
Sure. Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Exactly. Yes.
Just all of our history is a lie. They don't want us to know what this place is. They want us to think we're on a ball, because then you can discard all of these old stories that none of that makes any sense, right? They even take the old Greek gods like Atlas. He's holding up the Earth. If he's holding up a heliocentric Earth, what the heck is he standing on? He's in outer space. Okay, he's holding up the sky. Okay,
Right, exactly.
Atlas is holding up the sky, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you, what do you think? How do ETs figure in all of this? Is this just hype?
What is ET? Extraterrestrial.
Terrestrial.
Extra terra. What's terra? Land. Extra
Yes.
land.
Right.
Extra terra. Out there in the outer space. Extra terra. Right here. Couple thousand miles away.
So do you don't
That's an
let's go with the
extraterrestrial.
traditional, what people think of as ETs, as in from another planet or off Earth. Or do you really think that what if there are such things as ETs, really it's like on our Earth, they're Earthlings anyway. How's this? What do you think?
So
or interdimensionals?
I think that we're all from these outer lands, and we were brought here into this school that we call Earth, the Earth
Okay.
Pond. And you have Chinese people, and you have all different types of people. They're all different races that come from other lands, not just within our pond. Okay? I mean, if you start looking into the orphan trains and everything, in the early 1900s, all of a sudden 500,000 kids show up on trains, right?
Right.
And they're saying stuff like, "We're here to repopulate the world." I don't know why I don't have a belly button. Okay, just weird stuff.
That's
okay,
weird. That is
this
weird.
world is nothing like it. Yes. Write this down, everybody. On Instagram, go to I'm the Improbable Dreamer. All one word. I'm the Improbable Dreamer. I'm the Improbable Dreamer. Sit back for 10 minutes or an hour and just start going through his short little videos. And I challenge you to get through 20 without your head exploding. Okay?
Well, you know
your
what?
head will explode.
I know that they had the orphan trains, like supposedly, like right after the Civil War. Supposedly from all these children that were left.
Where did they come from?
But that's a lot of kids.
Everyone gave up their kids at the same time? No, absolutely not. I'm the Improbable Dreamer. He addresses it. Okay. Here's Atlas holding up the globe. That's not what he's holding up. He's holding up the sky. He's holding up the firmament. Okay. That's what it used to be, but they changed it. Okay.
Okay.
Just like the Egyptians, their God is holding up the sky with all the stars. Okay. Not holding up the globe. Right. This is ridiculous.
Okay. So in your theory, then, is this then all that there is? So
some people will say this is all there is. God, they're Bible literalists, and
Right.
said God created the firmament, separated the waters. We live in this one bubble. That's it. There's nothing
Right.
else, and that's it. Okay.
Okay.
I think that's kind of a waste of space or a limitation on God. I don't know, but if that's all
Okay.
there was, it's still kind of amazing. Okay, but
Right.
I think that there's more land. But I'm not gonna claim it as a fact. I think it's more land. I want the right to go explore. I want airships back, right? Airships can stay in the air forever.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's have airships back. That's why they got rid of them. You know why they got rid of They demonized it with the one crash. You had the Hindenburg, and they said, oh, hydrogen, it's too dangerous.
Yeah, I
Okay,
remember that yeah, that they
everyone's afraid
crashed
of
and burned, and
hydrogen.
they said,
Yeah.
forget that
Oh,
idea.
yeah. And then helium. Well, there's a helium shortage. You know why there's a helium shortage?
No, why?
NASA owns all of the helium companies in the world.
Are you kidding me?
NASA is the largest user of helium in all of the world. What the heck does NASA need helium for?
Good question. That's a
Yeah.
very good question.
Because all of their rockets are helium. They're balloons. Nobody is ever on one of those rockets. No one's ever on those rockets. Ever. Well, what about the Challenger? What about the Challenger? The teacher died. Okay. I was just in a movie. It's the third in a trilogy. This one's called Level With Me. Levelwithmefilm.com. Levelwithmefilm.com. Go there, watch the movie, and then your mind will explode because you'll find out that 6 of the 7 astronauts are still alive, working at universities using their same name. Okay. They all amazingly had twin brothers and sisters.
They're doppelgangers?
That look exactly like them because they're twins. And they never showed up at their funeral or spoke at their funeral. That's weird. Okay. And there's no record of them being born, but they all had twins. Okay. That's just the beginning. Okay. That's just the beginning. All right.
Okay. Let me ask, and since you've got those pictures behind you, why then did, when all these thinkers, Galileo, Copernicus, why would they, when they were trying to prove this, the sphere thing, why would they be persecuted? They were exiled, you name it. They were under threat of death in some cases. Why?
Fiction, 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 fiction.
Okay, let's hear it. Why?
They're fiction. I don't believe they ever existed.
Really? Okay.
They're made up stories. Okay. It's just like the dinosaurs, right? You know, dinosaurs aren't real, right?
No.
Oh my Lord. So
no,
all of the history and all the construction in all of the world.
Don't do that.
All of the history and all of the construction of all of the world, from the pyramids everywhere, nobody ever found a dinosaur bone. And then some royal guy in the 1800s wrote a paper theorizing that dinosaurs existed. A year later, to the day, he and his team discovered the first dinosaur. Okay.
Okay.
No dinosaur skull has ever been found. All the dinosaurs you see in museums are paper mache, not paper mache.
They're
ground up chicken bones because the real bones are too they're radioactive or whatever. Okay, they're too precious to let anyone see. They only find a vertebrae bone on top of a mountain. They're like, well, that can't be a whale because it's on the top of a mountain. Or maybe it could be a whale bone on the top of a mountain. Okay. You don't know because we're not on a ball, we're on a flat plane, and maybe the flood was real. Okay.
Right.
So they speculate all this stuff. The reason dinosaurs were brought up, it was to hide any evidence found in the future of giant humans. When I say giants, I'm not talking 10, 20, 30 feet tall. I'm talking giants. Okay. There's giants, right? I'm the improbable dreamer. Go watch his videos. Okay.
For sure.
And then you'll start to understand. And by the way, he's only scratching the surface of what this world was, what this realm was. In the app under the homeschool button, I'm not on the app. There's some great resources there. Here we go. If I hit the home button, the little house, right here, this button right here, this will blow you away. Every Sunday, one new video. Just watch it. All right. This will blow your mind. And then on the web button, the web page button, we have the lost history, the lost history, Tartaria.
All right.
Start subbing to some of those channels. And then giant trees. When I say giant tree, what's the biggest tree you think I'm talking about?
Well, you always think of the sequoias, like in
The
California.
sequoias. Right.
Yeah.
I'm talking about a tree where the base of that tree could be 20, 30 miles in circumference.
Oh, that's huge. No, no, no. I know,
That's
no,
too
that
big for you to even fathom, right?
that'd be like that's
Watch
huge.
watch those giant tree videos because it's not a theory anymore. Now, what
Okay.
happened? Why were they cut down? Did fallen angels do it? Was what? Who knows? Okay,
Okay.
but this guy shows these rock ridges, huge rock ridges. We all seen them, and he's like, "Look
Okay.
how they're breaking apart. Look how those rocks are shearing." He goes, "It's the exact same way a cedar tree would decompose," and he shows it exactly. And he's looking. You can see the circles in the rock, but then he found a place where he cleaved off some of the rock and it turned into wood. It hadn't turned to rock yet. So it's not even a theory anymore that that was a
Okay.
tree. It was a tree. The question is, what part of the tree was it? Was it a branch? Was it the
Okay.
base? And he shows where the base is. Okay.
All right.
This is a lot to take in because check this out. You don't live on a globe. Everything you were taught in school is a lie. Everything you thought was a
Well,
lie.
you know what? And it's
Dinosaurs don't exist. Nuclear
okay. Let me
bombs
ask you
don't
something.
exist.
So basic. So so you're saying that the construct of dinosaurs, as being these massive prehistoric animals, was done to what justify the existence or overlook the existence of giants or what?
It's two things. One, it's to hide any evidence. Like when we find a huge femur, they're like, oh, that's from a dinosaur. No, that can't be a human. That femur is 20 feet long.
Right.
Whatever it is.
I
Okay,
understand now.
and
I get
so
it.
and then the other thing it's part of the evolution story because evolution dilutes a creator, right? Because
Sure.
hey, lightning struck, created an amoeba, impossible, and the amoeba turned into a fish, impossible, and the fish grew legs and climbed out of the water and found another sexy fish, and they had a mutant son that turned into a monkey who found another mutant monkey that was a female that had a baby and it turned into a human. Okay, this is the story of evolution.
Well, right. No,
Okay, this is
and
what they
people
still teach in
people don't
school.
fail that supposedly missing link has never been produced. That
And
supposedly,
they've proven evolution is nonsense, but they still teach it in school. They
oh
still
yeah,
teach it in school because they need to control the minds
sure.
of the young people. Because you change, you go to a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old, and say, "Hey, the Earth is flat." They'll chop your head off. They'll be like, "No, it's not." They've been
Yeah.
programmed so strong,
Yes, I know
right?
that.
And
I
then
know that.
I love space. I watched all Star Trek, Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica, Lost in
Hmm.
Space, loved it all. Okay,
Yes,
done on purpose. You know what? Somebody brought up Gilligan's Island. Remember Gilligan's Island? I don't know if I'm dating.
absolutely, of course.
Maybe that's where Kiribati is.
Hey, it might be purgatory for all we know.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Um,
I mean, it's like,
so,
you know,
yeah, I'm just saying all of the stuff that they pushed in school, dinosaurs, volcanoes, nuclear bombs, and the globe are all fake. What? Wait a minute. Did you say volcanoes are fake?
I was about
I
to say,
did.
wait a minute, what about Krakatoa? What happened to all these Mount St. Helen and all these other
There
things that
is the Mount St. Helens. There was no lava. That was an explosion.
okay.
I think Mount St. Helen was a test, a directed energy weapons test. All right. But like in Hawaii, you have what's called lava tubes. Okay.
Right.
And these are electrical currents that go through the ground and create
Hmm.
these lava tubes. Okay.
Okay.
And there's no cone shaped mountains with lava spewing out of the top that's coming from the center of the earth. It just doesn't exist. Now,
Okay.
you'll see a lava tube break the surface and it'll build up rock and it'll get higher and higher. And maybe it's 25 feet tall and there's lava coming out of the top, but that's just 25-foot pile of lava. Okay.
Right.
But
Right.
come into it at nighttime and put it all out of context. And then you'll be like, oh, that's a giant mountain. They just make it look like a giant mountain. But you can take rocks, you can put electricity through them,
Okay.
and it turns them into lava.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Molten. That's what it is.
yeah, that's
Molten
all it
rock.
is. It's molten rock.
So, do you think like the Tunguska blast? Do you think that was a directed energy weapon?
I don't know. I wasn't there, but it wasn't a rock coming from space. It was some sort of weapon. Was it an electrical discharge between the firmament and the
Hmm.
earth? Was it a military weapon?
Because
Was it? Was it something? I don't know what it was, but it wasn't what they told us.
Well, no, well,
Right.
that's one of the things. From what I understand, it's never really been explained as to
Right.
what it was or where it came from or what how it was produced. In
Right.
other words, I mean,
Right.
because we're talking here, how can I say it? If we're looking at something that has a weapon that has that capability, it's like who's got their finger on the trigger of that thing? That's pretty scary. I mean, if
Well, we don't know what that is. I mean, but they have us believing that nuclear bombs are real. Nuclear bombs aren't real. What about Hiroshima and Nagasaki?
yes,
Right.
I've heard of that.
Um, 3 days later, the sandwich shops were open, the trains were running, people were back to work. It was a just a dynamite bomb. That's all it was. And yes, people died. Okay, but there's no radiation. There's no nothing. Right. It's all nonsense to keep you in fear. Nuclear bombs don't exist. There was a guy by the name of Galen Windsor, who worked
Mm-hmm.
in the nuclear power industry, and he was going
Okay.
around the 50s trying to show people that plutonium is not dangerous. That he'd swim in the pools in nuclear power plants, and he would eat uranium. He'd put
Okay.
powder on his hand, he'd flick his hand, and he's like, "It's not dangerous, right?" And
Okay.
then if you look at the Taria, the old world stuff, they were heating homes with these pellets, that don't
Right.
go away. That like, imagine if you had like something the size of your fist that heated your home for 100 years.
Boy,
Okay,
yeah, let me tell you something. Those energy
wouldn't
companies,
that be
they'd be
nice?
like,
Right. And that's how they control us: fake money, energy, fake map, fake land, fake shortages, fake everything. Right?
yeah,
Fake.
right. That's
We need government to help us. No, we
yes.
don't.
I believe
Leave
it. I
us
believe it.
alone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And we don't have to pay attention to any of them. They say the only truth in the world is death and taxes. Both lies.
All right. It's like, I don't know about the tax part, but the death part, I don't know how you get away from that one though. As in physical death?
I think that physical death is a thing, but I don't believe that is the end. I think that we're here. This is a picture of Jay Tolan media infrared. He's seeing things that are so far away they'd be miles and miles and miles below the curve. Okay,
Okay.
this is impossible on a ball. I mean, we could do there's so many different different things. This is
Okay.
oh, that's not. This is showing when you zoom out something, its angular size and a little miraging, it
Mm-hmm.
disappears. Okay, things
Right.
disappear into the horizontal eye zone.
Right. I see. I
Okay,
understand what you're saying.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's because, of course, you're coming in. Right. Exactly.
It right. Its angular size gets smaller. Um, there's so many things. This is Let me show you one. This
Oh,
is one
okay.
that
See, yeah, yeah. It puts in context. Yeah.
yeah. So out here is Mount Canigou. It's 175 miles away, and from this viewing spot in Illusia, France, the top of the mountain should be over half a mile below the curve. Guess what? We can't see it. Must be a ball, right? Well,
Okay.
the light we don't see. You see the light that's bouncing off of me. So we would see the light from the sun that's bouncing off of the mountain. We don't see
Right.
it because that
Okay.
light bouncing off the mountain isn't as bright as the sun. And that light can't push 175 miles through the atmosphere because it just gets washed out. It's like sound. It gets weaker over distance. Light gets weaker over distance. But twice a year, the sun migrates in between the two tropics and it lines up with the mountain and that viewing spot. And when it does, all of a sudden you can see it because it backlights the mountain. Here's the whole mountain. The very top up here should
Mm-hmm.
be over a half a mile below the curve, but it's
Right.
right there. Okay.
Yep.
And because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. It just means that the light can't make it to your eyes.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you, and I'm going. Do you think then that and I'm sure you've seen that movie, The Truman Show, where basically he's
Oh, yeah.
lived his entire life in this, very similar to what you're describing. Was that like a tongue in cheek? We're making it look like a
Oh,
fantasy.
absolutely. It's showing them. It's showing a lot of truth in the Truman Show. A lot of truth in the Truman Show.
Right. But of
Here
course,
is
everybody looks at it and thinks, what a neat movie.
yeah. Yeah. Well, we kind of live in the Truman Show, but
Right.
maybe it's all that. Maybe they want us to believe that that's all there is.
Right.
Maybe that we're trapped in here. I don't personally think that we're trapped. I think we're trapped in our minds and our spirit. Like we're here to raise our vibration, to learn, to love,
Right.
to experience this world, to expand the mind of the creator, because we're all part of the creator. And once we do that, we graduate and we can go to maybe the outer lands. Maybe that's where it's pretty cool. Okay.
Well, you know what? I mean, like everything, yeah, I think that normally you don't, or house the powers that be will make that don't spend so much energy on controlling our thoughts and our behaviors by extension, unless there was we had some type of ability like of doing something. Otherwise, it wouldn't bother. It'd be like, they wouldn't expend all the time that they do with all the ways that we got information pushed into us, whether it's through the TV or what we hear, or like you said, schooling, history. We get it from all sides.
Yeah. So here we're watching a sped up sunset. Are we falling over backwards, or is the sun just moving away?
No, it just looks like it's dipping.
It's going away. Well, it looks like it's going down because of perspective,
Right.
right? And it's going behind this atmospheric deck right here, and it's just kind of going beyond it. If I went up higher, I'd be able to see it again.
Sure, exactly.
Okay.
Depends on your
case.
point of view.
In that case, it will. So let me show you another one. This is one where it was a super clear day in the middle of the winter. Had my drone up. It's below freezing.
Okay.
And super clear. Now the sun went down, 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 down. Now if we were spinning, it would just keep on going, but it didn't. It went down, 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 and it stopped. And it sat here for 10 minutes. Now this is super sped up again. It sat here.
All right.
It sat here. And what's it doing? It's going farther away. But because of my angle of view and the atmosphere, it's already at the bottom of its personal atmospheric dome, and it just fades away.
Let me ask you, how far up was the drone then?
It was 500 meters, 400 meters.
Okay.
Not that high. I mean, it was high enough. High enough where I'm higher than any mountains or anything in the distance, and it's clear. No, I mean, I'm talking super clear day, right? And this is just me going back and forth. The sun faded out and went away. Now all the globies are like, "Oh, you photoshopped." I live streamed this several times. I caught it 7 times.
So is that what is that what you call them, globies? Is that what the
globies? Yeah, they call us flurfs. I call them globies. So they're globies. Okay. I used to be a globie. On the app, if you go to the web button, the one that looks like a spider web, and you scroll to the bottom, here's 7 or 8 or 9 of those videos.
Okay.
Click that button. They're all there. All of this stuff on here is stuff that you won't be able to find on YouTube because they're hiding. You search Flat Earth Day, Flat Earth Sunset, Flat Earth Proof, you get the same videos every time. It's all nonsense.
You know what? You're right. I'm going to say it. I heard, and this was a while back, that I heard that they were either taking them off or something, any videos having to do with the topic of flat Earth. I was like, who cares? Like, what's the big deal? It's like,
yeah.
It's like,
well, they haven't taken them off yet, but you can't find them unless you know exactly the channel name and search. And literally, one of our videos, a great video, it's called The Stranger's Guide to Flat Earth 21 Questions, can be found right. Where could it be found? It could be found right here in this Flat Earth videos, feature-length movies. Flat Earth, a Stranger's Guide to Flat Earth 21 Questions. That's a pretty unique title. Got, the original had millions of views.
Right.
Okay. It doesn't show up. You search for it, you're going to get all the same crap. Okay. Well, that doesn't make sense. Why the government is feeding you, the Google is feeding you what they want you to see. That should raise enough flags. But that movie, video alone, that's a great starting place. 21 short questions and answers. It'll blow your mind. It's right there. So
let me ask you, do you think that, considering what's been going on in the last couple of years, do you think more people now, their minds are more open?
So on the app, we have what's called the Flat Earth Friend Finder. Let me just go to a quick world view for you.
Okay.
This is a fraction of 1% of the flat earthers on Earth. Okay. Let's take a look. Let's load for a second. And then we're going to go over to the United States. Here we go. Right. Here's the United States. These are the people that are on the app that have registered for the Friend Finder. Do you think Flat Earth, do you think people are open-minded yet?
Yeah, look at this. Sure looks like that. Wow.
Look at it. Look at the UK. You can't even see it. Right?
Okay.
These are people that are awake and aware and are spreading the word right now. We just broke 100,000 on the Friend Finder all over the world. everywhere. Australia, New Zealand. We even have a guy in Antarctica. Okay.
Okay. All
Look,
right.
I mean, so are people waking up? Yeah. Look, you're opening your mind. 5
Sure.
years ago, you might not have had this conversation.
No, no,
Okay.
I would have been like, and I consider myself a pretty open-minded, but I'd be like, huh? It's like, what?
On the friend finder here, I can click any one of those dots and
Yeah.
I can message them. I could do video calls. I could do groups. There's all sorts of groups on here. And then you can do group video calls, and people are having amazing conversations. They're using it as a true friend finder, as a significant other finder, as a job finder. Because guess what? We only want to hire people that are blue dots,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
Or,
I understand.
people that are like-minded. These are all awake, aware, very amazing people. So I've never met a blue dot I don't like. The orange dots are people that just joined. They become blue as soon as they do a referral or after 30 days. So it's just that way somebody could look, oh, there's a new orange dot near me. Let me tap on that person and send them a message and
Okay.
invite them out for coffee or something. And guess
Okay.
what? It's your new
It's a good
best
connection.
friend, new best friend ever. Yeah.
Let me ask him, Dave, from the natives that lived, like I'm talking about up in the, whether the Inuit or the Eskimos that live in all these northern, did they have any stories? A lot of their stuff, of course, is verbal tradition, oral tradition that you could say this.
I think that they all knew. They all knew that
Okay.
the earth was flat.
Okay.
If you look at all ancient cultures, they all had a flat earth cosmology.
Okay.
I have it right here. These are all, let's make it a little bigger, right? These are all they're all a flat earth with a firmament, right? Except this religion right here. Okay. This religion is the nonsense, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
They're the only ones. They're the only ones. Right? Pretty interesting, no?
Yeah, I didn't know the Aztecs were flat earthers.
Everyone was flat earthers. The whole globe thing is just a control, a total control thing. Total control. And here's the thing. What difference does it make? I still have to go to work on Monday. I said that. Okay. I left all of that. Now I'm talking to people like you, and somehow, God gets all the glory. I am able to do this and support myself. And not only do I support myself, I'm helping other people unplug from the matrix. That's more satisfying.
I think that is, and I understand that sometimes, as a matter of fact, I think it's done on purpose that we get so caught up in the daily living because we're so distracted by this, and all this other stuff that it doesn't leave time for exploring, because like you said, before you know it, you got to get up the next day to go to work. But I think for me personally, it's just the fact that I'm being lied to. I hate that.
Yeah.
This
is one of my favorite buttons here. Rockets are balloons. Okay. Balloon rockets. You watch that, you thought you loved dinosaurs. Did you think you love rockets too? Okay.
Now I was like,
okay.
Oh.
It's just watch that series and your mind will be blown. It's just there's
so let
too
me
much.
ask you, do you think that, because I hear people question, which is a valid question, like after supposedly we visited the moon, that all of a sudden we stopped, and all the, supposedly future that you would have thought, why didn't we keep going to the moon? Do you think it was because of that all of a sudden it was like, okay, that chapter's closed. We visited the moon. Let's not carry any further with this.
Do you think we went to the moon?
No, I'm saying that it was said that we went to the moon. I'm saying that supposedly you remember it was the race to the moon. This is the Cold
Apollo
War.
9, 11, and 12 took the same photo of Earth. The clouds cooperated and they were the same clouds.
Wow,
amazing.
That's incredible.
Super amazing. Maybe it was maybe it was just the luck of the clouds. Okay.
It was good timing.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And then the Japanese just took this picture of Earth from the moon before their thing crashed. And this dark spot, there was an eclipse. There was a solar eclipse.
Right.
Please. Okay. Look at this.
Yes.
So stupid. It's so stupid. Right. Yes. And then the moon landing, right? These are their boots. This is the blueprint. What's wrong there?
That's the globe, a problem. They'll
be like, well, they wore an extra like moon boot over it, I'm like, where are those? No one even knows where they are, right?
You know what? Those are those little details that are never like, how can I say,
Yeah,
never come out. I've never
right.
seen that.
How about
That
this?
thing with a
How
boot,
about
I've
this?
never seen that.
How about this? The rocket
Okay.
nozzle is down here. So there's
Right.
two grown men in here without seats, and it left the rocket nozzle. So what did it just explode? And now it's going to float up there, and it happened to meet with the orbiting,
Yeah,
the
like
2,000
exactly. Like
mile an
how's it
hour.
propelling
The orbiter
itself?
is going around like 1,000 or 2,000 miles an hour. It's going to connect.
Right, exactly.
Where's the rocket on this thing? Okay. And what happens if
Interesting.
those guys hiccup or move? The thing's going to go start tumbling. Okay.
That's right.
There's
No
no
propulsion.
resistance, no
There's no
gyros.
propulsion.
It's so stupid.
That's not
Okay.
that's so let me ask you then, what do you think then is all this thing that you see with Tesla and the X and the Blue Origins? What are they doing? That we're going to be supposedly the next Martians.
Nobody is ever on a rocket except for a stuntman that tried to jump a canyon and killed himself. Okay. Okay. Nobody is ever on those rockets. Right.
Okay.
So um let's look at and it's unbelievable what they do. I mean, they're all of their sexual innuendos. They write sex in the clouds, right? This is what I call the two-pack rocket, right? The top
Okay.
of this is not a real rocket launch. You can tell the difference between a real one, a real like launching something because there's a smoke trail. Remember everything had a smoke
Right.
trail?
Yes.
Look at this clean little gas flame. There's no little smoke on
Okay.
the ground, but there's no smoke trail. And where's the thrust? Wouldn't that be blowing all this smoke away?
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Right. And they always throw this close up so we can't see that there's no trail. Okay.
Right.
But
Right. It
watch
cuts
up
off.
here. Watch up here. This something looks wrong here. And then all of a sudden we see that. What is all of that? Okay. Let's go a little closer.
What?
Watch.
Where'd it go? 10% speed. So was
I slowed it down. So just so you can see it. This is a glitch. This is called Project Bluebeam. Okay. Where
okay.
they're projecting something in the sky. There's nobody on the ground
I was
watching
about
that.
to
This,
say, are we talking here something that's a projection? Not in other
yeah,
words.
this one's a projection. So there was one time we were nosing around on some pictures of NASA and we're zooming in on stuff and we're like, what are these weird spotlights? And we zoomed in and we're trying to figure it out. We saw like a nameplate and a serial number and we were able to look it up. It's from a holographic projection company. What is NASA doing with
Ah,
holographic projection company lights, these giant things on their lawn? Okay.
that
Right.
is so interesting.
And NASA has huge contracts with CGI companies, green screen companies, acrobatic, wire companies. Okay,
So let me
they have
ask
all
you,
these
but what
contracts.
and the reason why I say this is I live in Florida and I've got the Space Coast a few, not, what about these people that go out there and they see these rockets lift off? Is that
So,
just for
so
show?
yeah, it's just for show. Like when you're watching the shuttle take off,
Right.
um, maybe this one. So this is a helium tank.
Okay.
It's helium. This is also helium. It's got a little fireworks on the bottom. This is also a balloon. This is all a balloon. Okay. That's why it goes up so slow. And that's why it rolls over on its back because this is a little heavier. Okay. But look at this
Uh-huh.
thing. I don't know if you can tell. This thing
Right.
is going to, of course, they're showing so close, right? And it's going to roll over, right? These are lights. This isn't fire pushing it into the sky, right? And now it's so close, you can't see how fast it's going, but it's not going that fast at all. When you actually analyze the smoke that's coming off of these things, I think it's going
Okay.
50 miles an hour max. Look at the
Really?
smoke. Look at it. How fast is this thing going? Okay, let me show you another one. How about this one? All right. So this is a fascinating one. So this is the external tank. Then they're filmed. Look at this, right? That was an accident. They wanted you to see that. They wanted you to see this.
Okay.
This is the 20,000-pound steel tank falling back to Earth. Now the story is it falls so fast that it atomizes and before it hits the ground and it burns up. Okay, all right. So what is going on with this tank? Hold on. Let me find
It's
out.
floating. That's what it looks like to me.
Hold on. Here it is. External tank. Here we go. All right. So here it is. This is supposedly falling. Does this look like it's falling or
No.
floating?
No,
This
it
is like
floats. It's
Macy's Day.
floating.
Well, no, it's supposedly falling, but here it's worse than that. Guess who's filming this? The guy on the shuttle that's on his way up to space. So he's going up at 17,000 miles an
And
hour.
this thing is like the same size.
It's free falling. What?
Yeah.
What? Did you see that little tissue that went by? Watch right here. A tissue is going to go by that's going to give you perspective on how fast this thing's going. Okay. There's like a piece of paper floating. Here it comes. Ready? In about 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. There it goes.
Yeah. That's like.
So that shows you it's not moving. But this thing is being filmed by guys on their way to space.
It's keeping, it still it's parallel to them. It's like it's right there.
And on that rockets or balloons, this one, we spotted a cloaked aircraft that was following this thing, some sort of recovery craft. Okay. And maybe it's on here. Maybe I could show you. Is it here? Hold on. It is, I can't, not on this one. But we actually changed the contrast and we could see it, right? So again, there's all sorts of shenanigans going on here. That's all sorts of shenanigans.
Yeah, you would have thought that thing would have disappeared, like fallen off, and especially if they're traveling in opposite directions.
Second, right? It would be gone in a second.
So I gotta ask you, do you think these last sightings of those balloons have anything to do? These balloons that all of a sudden were found to be floating all over all these.
Yeah, well, so NASA, again, they're the largest consumers of helium, and they own all the helium companies in the world. They control the helium market. NASA admits that they have tens of thousands of satelloons. Satellites are hanging from balloons. Okay. Right. Satellites hanging from balloons. Is this it right here? Yeah. They launch them in Antarctica. Interesting.
Right.
And they're up in the sky all the time. And you know that the National Weather Bureau, or maybe it's run by NASA also, they launch 1,000 balloons all over the earth at the exact same time, twice every single day.
Really?
These are weather balloons that are taking all that data, putting it into a supercomputer, and they map out the whole world. Okay. Now, are we a spinning, whirling, twirling, spiraling world, or are we a flat stationary world with balloons floating above it? Okay. This is a satelloon. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
I see that.
And guess what? They crash all over the earth. Okay. They crash all over the earth. What's going on here? I got something. Oh, there we go. What happened to my crash balloon? Is this it? I don't know what's going on there. That is not the video I was looking for. All right, well, that is, I was telling you before about the buoys that go around Antarctica right here. This is one of them.
Yes.
Okay. So these are all over the place out there. So you really can't go anywhere. And then, people are like, well, what about Starlink, right? Look, this is, suppose this is the video we get of them launching Starlink, right?
Right.
This is like this weird fisheye lens, and they're spitting out these little things that are going to fall around the earth as it's orbiting or changing directions. It's going in front of the sun, around the sun. And these things are just going to go and give you internet. This is all absolute and total nonsense.
That's wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a weird angle.
Right. And when you look at people like, I've seen the row of satellites going, right? If you look up, and I've seen the ISS, the thing that they call the ISS, right? It's not, it can't be the distance that they tell us, right? And the brightness that we see it. But the ISS looks like it's about the same size as these Starlink satellites. But the Starlink satellites are farther away than the ISS. And the ISS is the size of a football field. The Starlink satellites are the size of a school desk. Okay. So it's tiny, like here's the ISS, and then here's the Starlink satellite. Starlink satellite's farther away, and you think it looks like the same size or that you could even see it. Okay. It's all just a parlor trick in the sky. It's a parlor trick in the sky. There's so much to get into. Again,
so do you think ultimately that they're going to pull the UFO menace on us
I
to
think that I think too many people know about it now. I think that
okay,
they can't pull this stuff. They can try to pre-program us, like they
right,
told us about 9/11 for years and years and years. They pre-programmed us all the way from 20 years earlier with the Supertramp album predicting 9/11, right? Front cover Time magazine, 9/11 with Rockefeller and his watch. It said 9/11 and the towers in the distance.
right,
All of the stuff, the Simpsons, right, with their cover showing the money in front of 9/11 and how that was all tied together, all of it. And then they pulled it off because nobody was paying attention. Too many people know about the alien invasion right now, the fake
right.
alien invasion. So I don't think they can pull it off.
I think everybody's like, "Oh, really? Are
I'm
you
like,
kidding
bring it.
me?"
I got the popcorn ready to go.
Yeah, I think I
Yeah.
agree with you. I think a lot of people now are just a little bit, what's the word, cynical about something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, that
So
yeah, I think yeah, there's been people have had rude awakenings, but I think in mass, and I don't know, maybe it's again because of social media and that we have so much exposure that we can expose so many people at the same time that a lot of people are like, when you're like almost like you want to say that let's use the Matrix as an example. That thing of the Matrix where it's like the reality is far from what you think is reality. How's that?
well, the Matrix is the heliocentric system, is the Matrix. Think about it. It's literally a prison for your mind, right?
Yes,
You live on this globe. There's nothing else. That's where you
right.
live. This fake reality. Everything you know is fake. Watch the news. You want to find out what's fake? Watch the news. Whatever they're talking
Yes.
about, it's fake.
Oh no, now,
Okay.
and I think a lot of people
Hey,
now is like whatever they say, oh, that's the opposite. It's like whatever it
right.
might be. I think a lot of people now are looking at it that way, at the very least, questioning it, like, nah, since you're the source, I am gonna question it. And once upon a time, that wasn't the case.
It, it's I think it was William Casey, the CIA director, said once everything the American public believes is fake, our job is complete. And I used to laugh at that. I'm like, there's no way. Everything. It's everything. There's
Yeah.
people used to say to me, Dave, you're such a conspiracy theorist. What? Nate, tell me one thing that's real. I'm like, well, Sully landed that plane on the Hudson River that got hit by some birds. That was real. And then I found out it wasn't real. Okay.
Well, I think that
But
even now,
why? But why would they do it, Dave? Why would
well,
they
a lot
fake
of that,
something
I
like
guess.
that? You know what? I have a lot of questions on why they do a lot of things, but they do a lot of things. It's
Well,
all about mind control.
it's a grand illusion, but as your
Welcome to the grand
audience
illusion.
becomes more, how can I say, more tech savvy or more questioning, that the media, the illusion's got to get bigger. All right, it's got to
Illusion is
be more
huge.
convincing.
It's fascinating. The illusion is mind blowing what they've done. Hats off to the elite because they have really
Yes.
done a number hiding our world. But here's the thing: this world is too fascinating. Stop. Don't. I don't care if you're 80 years old and you're listening to this. It's not too late to see the world for what it is.
Yeah.
And the wonder, like people lose one, people lose the will to live because I've seen it all. We haven't seen anything.
No.
Okay.
No.
We haven't seen anything. This world is insane. It's crazy,
Right.
insane. Like I walk through the woods, I'm like, wow, that rock
Let
ridge.
me
That's
tell you something, and it's not. They want to put us in
yeah,
15-minute cities, so this is like,
yeah.
let's
50
shrink
minutes
down the.
programmable money. Oh, I'm sorry, your money's not going to work today because you got to get the jibby jab.
Yeah,
Okay.
like,
No,
dude,
forget
we saw
about it.
what you posted.
Yeah.
That trip that you were
Oh,
taking to, nah, you're
oh,
not going anywhere. And I think a
yeah.
lot of people still have a hard time thinking that would happen, but unfortunately, no.
Oh my God. The difference between a conspiracy theorist and a fact?
Let's hear it.
About 3 months.
You're right. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
It's the stuff, everything I used to talk about, and everyone says you're crazy, or still talk about.
Mhm.
Every single thing has come true. Every single thing has come true. Maybe it came true because I'm the one talking about it, but that would suck.
Well,
But
no.
who knows? I'm kind of joking about that. But the thing is, it's easy to see through their lies once you understand where you're standing.
Oh,
If
sure.
you're on a ball
Sure.
spinning out of control, you can't think. You can't get it all. Well, I'm doing pretty good. I got a good job. I got a beautiful house. We got a vacation house, and
Yeah.
I'm doing fine on my club. Great. Enjoy your ball. You're wasting creation. I mean, this
You're
world is magical. And the biggest conspiracy is that this world is conspiring to give you everything that you're thinking.
Well, it is, yeah, because we're guided down that, and I think that's what's happening. Before, people were going along this route and they were just being led along, and it was, please come this way. And now that people are going, wait, 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 and they're being shoved, they're like, wait a minute, what's with all the shoving? And I think that's why people are waking up thinking, I'm not ready to go with a program. More people, in other words. Before, it was the outliers who would do that. And now the normies are going, stop with the shoving. Why is it that you want me to go this way or think this way or do that? Why?
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of people are
here's
waking
the
up.
thing. For those of you that are hearing this for the first time, on the fence, think flat Earth is stupid, I'm offering 3 Bitcoins for 1 globe proof. That's worth your time. Okay. There's a whole bunch of different ways. One, get the app. It's $3 for life. Okay.
Okay.
And you get almost all the features on the app for that $3. But every day there's a featured video. Watch this video every day for 2 weeks. And for that 2 weeks, if you think you have a glow proof, send it to me. And you win 3 Bitcoins. But before you do, hit the frequently asked questions button. Make sure it's not answered there, because it probably is. And then start over. Okay. You try to come up with another one. And that's how you'll become a flat earther. So don't do it if you don't want to become a flat earther. Right. The other way is on my website, flatearthdave.com. I have the crash course. Go scroll down to that. And there's a list of, 15 or 20 videos. Just go through the first 5 videos. That's it. In other words, yeah.
Caveat emptor, let the buyer beware. If you get exposed to these ideas, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's a fungus that you'll never get rid of. Because there's so many people becoming flat earthers, and none of them ever switch back, and none of them ever put it down out of boredom. Once you become a flat earther, every day is a day of wonderment. Every day, it's like being a child again, right? Because it's like there's so much to learn every single day. I've been doing this for almost 10 years, not flat earth, like 8 years, whatever. And every day before noon, my mind is blown. Usually before 8 a.m., my mind is blown. Again, learning new things every single day.
And what is it? You just have, I imagine you have people coming out there, and what, they're sending you information or
people
videos.
Send me stuff. I go down to, I follow great channels. Like, go on the app, and any videos you find you like that, follow that channel. Follow that channel. Right? Before it disappears. But I've backed up all of this stuff. Just start watching these things, and then don't believe anything. Go verify it yourself. I did the same thing. Like, show me boats go over the horizon, and they're able to pull it back. With a zoom camera. So that's when the Nikon P1000 came out, or P900. I went out and bought it, and I went out and did the same thing. You can go out, watch a boat disappear over the horizon, and it disappears, and then you can zoom it back in. So here's the thing. Here's our horizon, right? All right. And in the distance, everything's small. So there's no boat out here. So we're zooming in, and so we're making this horizon bigger and bigger. And as we make it bigger and bigger, all of a sudden, look, there's a boat. Okay. Was that over the curve? Was that over the curve? Now watch.
No.
The boat's going to disappear from the bottom up. Now, can my finger hide that whole boat? But if my finger's in the foreground,
exactly, at a certain point it can. Yeah.
And just like these little waves in the foreground are hiding the boat from the bottom up. That's why things disappear from the bottom up. Okay? That's it. These tiny little waves can hide an entire city. Okay?
Right. That's because of the distance.
Because of the distance. Can my finger hide my whole face?
No, but exactly. If you put it up the distance,
Right. So people don't understand perspective. Perspective does it all. Right. And then once you understand that,
it's like when you have something to show scale, then everything changes when you see the scale.
Why can't we see Polaris? Why can't you see the streetlight that's way past this one? Because it merges with the horizon. This is the sun, right? It's just going down. It's going away, just like these streetlights are going away. Okay, it's not going down; it's just going away. It's that simple.
Distance-wise,
distance, yeah, and then
in a straight line, I guess is what I'm saying. Distance in a straight line.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Right. Wow. And then you know what? It's all on how you look at things. So, for example, here's an illustration. We got clouds, and you're like, oh, these clouds are all the same height. These are just farther away, and you got the water, and you got the pier, and you got these lights and the grass. Right? The grass appears to be slightly higher, maybe it's just a couple inches or a foot than the pier, and the pier, of course, is higher than the water because the water would go over the pier. And these lights are all the same height; they're just getting smaller and smaller, right?
Right.
Can you see the Great Pyramid of Giza?
Well, if I look at it from that perspective, yes.
Where is
I
it?
mean, if you use the pier and you look at it as triangular,
It's actually the Great Pyramid of Giza.
right? Exactly. You're
Okay.
absolutely right.
So in reality, this is higher than this,
Yes.
right?
Right.
But your mind didn't see it that
Right.
way.
Right. Because they have that illusion of the sky above it in such a way. And of course, the water makes it
Which
makes
line is higher, the yellow line or the red line?
yellow. At this perspective,
Sure.
how's that?
Okay. Which line is longer, the red line or the yellow line or the orange
red
line?
one.
Okay. So when we look, this is my deck, and this is a tree, a bush that's 5 feet over the deck. So this is 5 feet over the deck.
Okay.
This is the edge of the deck before the beach. So this is 5 feet below this line.
Okay.
And then this is the water, which is 10 feet below the deck because the beach is down there. So this is 15 feet below this.
I see what you're saying. But it's just
And this is several miles. This is only 8 feet. This is maybe
but see,
20
that's the thing when you put
and that's 8 miles. I'm just saying, unless you
right,
can
of
touch
course.
it, measure it, unless you know what you're looking at, you cannot make any claims about its size or distance. Okay.
And I think also it's the way it's presented. Even when something's put to show scale, it all depends how's the story that's given as to what is this? This is what this is. You see what I'm saying? So people, let's say people see what they're supposed to see.
All right. So now I showed you those checks. Let's see how you do.
Okay.
See this line right here?
Yep.
So we'll add a couple more lines. Is this line higher than this one or lower?
The red one is lower, according to this.
Okay. So is this blue line higher or lower than this line here?
I don't see the blue line.
This blue line right here. I'm sorry. I didn't transition.
For a minute there, I was like, oh boy.
Hold on. There we go. This line. All right. I almost blew it. All right. So we got this line here. This is the orange line. We add a couple more lines.
Right.
And this blue line, is it higher or lower than this line?
Higher.
It's higher.
Yes.
Remember how you got caught last time? Remember it wasn't higher?
Yes.
Right. So this line, is it higher or lower than these lines?
Higher.
Okay. And how about this one? Is it higher?
Higher.
They're all the same height. Okay. They're all the street lights.
Exactly. That's what I was about to tell you.
So they're all the same. So not higher or lower. They're all the same. Again, it's perspective.
Of course.
It's all about
perspective.
So that's how the sun goes down. Boom, 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 boom. And then when it goes past here, you can't see it anymore. It merges with the horizon.
So where does it go? Where does it go, Dave? Where does the sun, how can I say it? Because you always think, okay, it drops below the horizon because it curves. It's that's the us globies,
You have the atmospheric deck which becomes opaque and it all merges together. Okay. So it goes beyond that. It's just like if I'm standing on, there's a 4 foot high fence right here. I'm talking to you over the fence, and you're sitting in the yard, 10, 15 feet away, and you can see me. Now I walk that way, right? From your point of view, I'm gonna disappear over the fence. I'm gonna disappear behind the fence,
right?
And that fence to you looks like it's almost eye level because it's kind of a little farther away. But as I go away, I'm just going to disappear behind that fence like that.
Okay, right. Okay. No,
so
exactly.
It's just going behind
the distance.
When you look at here, I got one for you. When you look into the distance, then we'll I think we got to wrap it up.
Okay.
When you look into the distance, where is my sunset perspective? Not that. So the sun is going beyond this horizon. What is this horizon? Is that the ground or is that the clouds or are those mountains? Okay. It doesn't matter. It could be all three. They
Yeah.
all merge. So the sun's just going beyond it. And
Okay.
then you can't see it because it looks like it. The people have a hard time, like, well, it's going into the ground. Nope, it's perspective.
Oh no,
That's
yeah,
how
no,
your
no,
eyes look.
totally. Even if let's say we're not talking here miles and miles, but yeah, as you travel away from something, it shrinks in size. Not because there's a
Right.
curve, it's just distance. You're traveling away from it.
All right. So here's the one I wanted to show you. So
Okay.
so here, well, give me 1 second here. All right. So we have this guy here. He got a cloud above his head. Okay.
Okay.
And so we draw a line from his eyes to the cloud. It goes kind of almost straight up. And so
Okay.
then the clouds go into the distance, and due to perspective, they look like they're going down, but they're really at the same height. It's just perspective. You with me?
Okay. Yes.
You with me? So now
Yes.
we're going to draw a line. We actually run a string from his eyes to this cloud over here on the horizon.
Okay.
Now, from his point of view, he sees that line going parallel with the water in a straight line right to that cloud, which is right on the horizon. So to
Okay.
him, it looks like a straight line parallel with the water, right?
Yes.
But what if you were standing underneath underneath that cloud, 20 miles away? If you
I
were
would
standing underneath that cloud and you could see that string, what would you see? Would you see a line running straight across the water? No, you wouldn't. You
no.
would see a
It was above
string
you.
from here sloping down.
Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly.
he sees a line going level. You see a line going up. You're
Right.
both looking at the same thing from two different perspectives. So
Perspectives.
now the sun travels across the earth. So we're going to bring the sun
Okay.
across here.
Okay.
So here, so I made I made it smaller. So I got the cloud here and the line, so his line, this is on the horizon for this guy. So the sun goes away, and when it goes beyond this cloud, this line of his this line of sight. Now that remember that line for him is level. He can't see the cloud when it goes beyond. You can't see the sun when it goes beyond here. Okay. Now
Mm-hmm.
that we're looking at an orthographic view, no one ever gets to see this. Okay.
Right.
What this guy sees is that cloud is here, and the sun is going across the sky, but it looks like it's going down. And when it
Sure.
goes beyond that cloud, which looks like a horizon, but it's still 10,000 feet in the air, whatever it is, the sun looks like it sets into the earth.
So let me ask you then, what
Remember,
is when we
just
see
remember, this line is going up to that cloud, but that's not how he sees it. Go ahead.
let me
What's
ask
this?
you, so how do you explain, the sun comes up in the east and sets in the west? Is it just
So simple. So here is the sun is going west, and it looks like it's going down, but this is a level
right,
line. Okay.
right,
And it's setting behind these mountains, clouds, whatever you want it to be. It's
okay,
setting, it's setting right here.
right,
Right. So east and west are circles. Okay. Let me show you.
okay,
So here on the app, the sun goes around once it, whoops, that's what I wanted to do. There. So the sun goes around once a day. It laps the moon every 28 days. So if I'm right here in
right,
the United States, rising, setting, and it takes its light away with it. Okay.
okay,
Rising, setting, right?
okay,
24 time zones. Wherever the sun is, it's noon. I can call
okay,
my friend, Peter, who's in Sydney, Australia, and I say, "What time is it?" And he's like, "Oh, it's around 10 o'clock in the morning." And I'm like, "Where's the sun?" He's like, "Well, it's off center." In 2 hours, I call him. I'd be like, "The sun's right above me, but it's actually off a little bit, right?" But
uh-huh,
in where are we at? We're in May, June. Whoops. June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So in December, the sun
okay,
is all the way out here in
mm-hmm,
in over the Tropic of Capricorn.
okay,
The sun is right over Australia. It's hot in Australia in December. It's
right,
cold in the United States because the sun is far away.
right,
Okay.
uh-huh,
And so that's how seasons work. That's where the sun goes. So now the sun is going to rise in the east and
okay,
set in the west for everybody. Every star, every sun, every moon rises in the east, sets in the west because they all circle around. The sun goes around this way. It laps the moon every 28 days. And then if I turn the stars on, the stars are going slightly faster than the sun. They lap the sun once every 365 days. That's our year.
Right.
Okay. So
Exactly.
the sun will slip backwards into each zodiac for about a month
Yes.
until they lap him. Right.
Right.
So
Right.
the stars keep track of the seasons and the years. The sun keeps track of the hours and the days, and the moon keeps track of the weeks and the moons. There used to be
Right.
13 moons of 28 days, but they stole our calendar also.
Mm. And there you go.
So
Let me
much
tell
more to learn. And here's the thing: take the crash course, get the app, right? Or
okay.
get in the book section, frequently asked questions, Flat Earth frequently asked questions. It has all the information. If you're a book person, right?
Yeah.
Personally, I like having this in my pocket because when I talk to somebody, I can pull up a picture, I can show them a video, I can show them something. It's all there. I
Right.
don't carry a book around with me all the time, but great coffee table book, bathroom book, put this in. Anyone that touches it becomes a flat earther. Okay.
You abandoned being a Globie, huh?
You're no globies here.
No
Okay.
Globies. Don't you
No
have a
globies.
sticker that says Globie and then with a line across it?
Yeah. Oh, that's what happened. I'm like, what happened to my phone? All right, we're good. Anything else?
No, that's good. It's been great. It's
Oh, you know what?
don't you see the
While I'm
smoke
showing
coming
you,
out
I'm
of
not.
my ears? I got
Oh,
smoke
I
coming
do.
out of my
I do.
ears.
There's
It's like,
so much more to learn. FlatEarthDave.com, tons of information there, tons of videos there. But if you want to support me and have the greatest tool ever, get the app. It's $3.
yes, and I will have links in the credits of the show, everybody. All right. Whether it's the podcast or the video version, I'll have links there.
Right.
Okay. Boy, it's like, like when your reality goes like this. Yeah, that's what's happening right
It,
now.
here's the thing: a lot of people just like it rocks the apple cart. But once you get over it, and once you let your ego go, okay, I've been lied to my whole life. Now I have a whole
Oh,
reality to
sure.
deal with. It's
Sure.
amazing. It's freeing.
Of
It
course.
lifts people out of
It's
depression. It lifts people. There's so many people that had flat earthers that had some drug problems, and they kicked the drug problem. A lot of people lifted out of depression. I think depression is when your soul is trying to tell you the truth, and your mind is too lost in today's
oh
reality
yeah, no,
of nonsense,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
that literally causes such a discord in your body. You
Sure.
become depressed.
It
Right
does. It
when you
does. It
discover
does.
flat earth, it brings such joy to your heart. Seeing truth because truth resonates.
Sure.
It lifts people right out of depression,
It absolutely
right? But
does.
that's not. They don't want you knowing the truth. They want you on their drugs. They want you on their psychotropics,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
they don't want you taking any natural herbs that they can,
No,
they can't
no,
patent.
no.
So
They want to treat, not cure. That's
that's right.
there's no money to be made in curing anybody of anything. So treatment, yeah, treatment, boy, that's a lot of money there in
Yeah.
treatment. Okay, Dave, it has
So
been absolutely wonderful to talk to you. It's like,
thank you.
Yeah, I'm on overload right now,
I was
but
a little all over the place, but again, on
no,
the app,
no, no,
everything's
no,
organized for you there. All the
no.
frequently asked
Your
questions there.
presentation was great and it's excellent. It was just so like because you have to understand that this is like at a basis of our existence of how we've been conditioned to believe our world exists. All right. And it's like
I
this is
gotcha.
like when you shift the foundations and everything above it goes, rattles around as well. So till next
Marlene,
time. Yes.
before we go,
Yes.
when you made your reservation with me,
Mm-hmm.
that you were asked the question, do you think the earth is flat, a spinning globe, or something else? And you checked off a spinning globe.
I do. I do. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a
So
globie. I'm a globie.
you think the earth is a spinning globe. So let me ask you a question. Is that a religious thing or a
No,
science thing?
no, it's a science thing. I no,
Okay,
you know what?
so let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Can you give me one scientific proof that the earth is a globe?
I'll
And
tell you
if you
what.
can't, it's a religion.
If you put it, well, you know what? How's this? No, how's this? I don't, I base it on exactly what you described, that we're given all this information based on science, that this is, from what, the 1500s and et
The
cetera, et
word
cetera.
science is not science. To say
Right.
science, you have to show me the science. So Show me one proof that the Earth is a globe. One scientific
Well,
fact
now that
the
you've
Earth
did
is a
that,
globe.
that anything that I could dig up as
So,
proof that basically you're going to tell me that's a
well,
balloon,
well,
I'm
no,
out of, out of my
but I'm
depth.
not going to just tell you. You have to verify this stuff. But here's the thing:
No,
there is no scientific proof the Earth is a globe. There is zero.
right. There's
There's
no, how can I
tons
tell
of
you?
proof that it's the level horizontal plane.
Right. There's short of, how can I say it? Being able to go in a rocket or something that would give you that perspective. Because remember, it would be like impossible for me to say, hey, I've got definitive proof one way or the other, as far as that, and you could say this is what it is. I do it just like everybody else.
But here's
I'm a
the thing: you
normie.
don't need to leave the Earth to prove it's not a globe, because when you do the actual calculations, like they say we could see Polaris 433 light years away, where the truth is we couldn't see it at 2 light days away. Okay, or 20 light days, or whatever it is. It's these things are provable here from Earth. We can see too far. Water lays flat. Right, you can't have high pressure next to low pressure without a container. Watch emergency landings. We didn't even get into southern flights. Okay, watch the flight routes of these southern flights. They make no sense on a globe, but they make perfect sense on a flat Earth. Right,
Okay.
globe, you'd have to have symmetry 6 months apart and at equal northern and southern latitudes, but
Right.
there's not. It's absolutely not. At 60 degrees south, there's no life. There's nothing. Okay, at
Okay.
85 degrees north, which is
Mm-hmm.
way worse,
Right.
plants, people, animals, everything.
Really.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So that leads to points to a flat Earth. There's an overwhelming abundance of evidence that we're on a flat level plane. There's zero evidence and actual proof that we're not on a globe. You can't have a high pressure system floating in a space vacuum. It's scientifically impossible. Okay. But once you're never taught about that stuff, you're never taught,
No.
well, what holds the air down? Gravity. Oh, gravity holds cruise ships upside down, the trillions of tons of ocean on the outside of a spinning ball adjacent to a void of no pressure. That is impossible. You can't reproduce that anywhere in a lab in nature, right? But the globies will be like, oh, the gravity. You got nothing. Globe belief is a religion until you come up with one scientific proof, and you're
No.
not going to be able to.
No. I don't know. To me, religion is tied into spirituality and beliefs
Your
beyond
religion,
whether which by
globe,
the way is
globe
faith.
belief.
Faith is belief in something that you can't prove. All right.
Okay, so you have faith in the religion of the globe, but you can't prove
No,
it.
no,
You have no proof.
no. Oh well, not after this conversation. It's it's like, okay, that's what I'm saying. It's like I mean, I've got smoke coming out of my ears because you have to understand a lot of these things. That's like, for lack of a better word, you take it for granted because it's spoon fed to us in
Yeah,
school.
and it's hard to let all that go.
Absolutely it
Marlene,
is.
Marlene, let it go. If I was there in the room with you, I'd slap you right now just to
I'd be
help
like,
you. Okay.
no, you know what? But I do. I give myself where credit is due. I do have an open mind. And I always
I'm
think,
glad you have
oh,
an
I
open mind,
have
but
to
you're.
give myself I don't automatically
Listen,
say, no,
I,
that's not possible,
I'll
because
I'll congratulate you. You did a great job listening, asking questions. But at the end, you lost a couple points when you said, "Well, I still believe in the globe, but I can't tell you why."
I don't
Here's the thing:
know.
you're allowed to believe in the globe, but
You
you
know
have to
what?
admit it's
Wouldn't it be
religion.
strange if somebody, after a lifetime of believing something like that exists, to say, okay, I don't. I would be lying to you. I'd be lying to you if I told you right now, oh,
Just
yes, absolutely, the
no,
earth is
no, I
flat.
don't. Very
To
good. I
me,
don't
it'd
want
be
you to do
like,
that, but I want
it's
you to
like,
realize your belief in the globe is a religious one, because that's the
no, no.
definition of a religion. There's no science. There's just faith, and you can't even name the reason why you believe it. It's faith. It's the biggest religion ever.
Well, you
You
know
are
what?
a faith globey.
Okay, but well, you know what? Because let's say when you're a kid, when you're a child, when you go to school, they don't teach this in religion. They teach this part in the science class.
Well, they
Okay,
want you believing in one or the other. They want you believing in a religion or believing in the religion of science. Either way, they've
right.
got
So
your
it's
mind
like,
trapped. They don't
you're
free your mind.
they don't. This is not taught like you know, how can I say it? When you're taught this, they don't say, we want you to believe this just on our words. You're given pictures and diagrams and the earth and circumference and the equator. In other words, and as a child, you're like, okay,
How did
you're
they get the
showing me
circumference of the
proof.
equator? How did they get the radius of the Earth? We don't have time to get into it, but it's all made up. It's all
Right.
nonsense. It's total
But what I'm
nonsense.
saying
So
is when they present to you and you're a kid and you're like, okay, you're showing me proof that the earth is
they're
round.
not showing you proof. They're showing you nonsense, pseudoscience, and you're believing it as proof because the
Yes,
guy in
but
a bow tie who lies told you. Okay. Yeah, a
when you're a
failed
kid,
comedian told you.
oh
You're a
no,
kid, you'll believe anything because you believe authority.
of
Hey,
course,
the power of the white lab coat.
of
Okay.
course,
That's the power of
absolutely.
the white lab coat and the bow tie. Okay. Failed comedian. Bill Nye, the lying guy with the bow tie.
Yeah,
He's the one
no,
that told you the earth is round and boats go over the curve. Okay.
sure, yeah. That's that.
You can't
I
zoom in
remember
something
when
when it
they were
goes over
saying,
the
"Oh,
curve.
do you remember those sailors, Columbus, that they thought that they would fall off the edge of the earth and be eaten, devoured by sea monsters?" I remember
You know that the
hearing about that.
Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. was here before Columbus got here.
No,
Okay.
how's
Yeah.
that?
I'm the improbable dreamer on Instagram. Start there.
Okay, you got it.
Yeah.
You
Get the
got
app.
it.
All right. Just remember, you're in a religion. You're in a cult, actually. It's
No,
a
I'm not.
globe cult. You're a
No,
cultist. You don't even know it. That's
no,
wait.
no.
Wait, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Now let me go. When
Okay.
someone's in a cult and you
Yes.
tell them they're in a cult, what do they say? They say, no, 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 I'm not.
Well, you know what? Because if
Marlene, you're in
you
a cult.
no, I'm not. Believe me, I'm
See?
not. No, I'm the least cultish person that there is. No, really, seriously.
What does a person in a cult say when you tell them
No,
they're
you
in a
know
cult?
what? No, no. The person in the cult doesn't even listen to anybody else that it proposes anything that contrary to their beliefs. They don't
All
even
right.
entertain it. They don't listen to it. They're like, no, 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 no. No, on the contrary, I have an open mind. But
Okay.
again, it would be strange if this is something that you've learned as a child. So it means I've had, without giving decades of this belief, for me to say, oh yeah, I'd be like, okay, I have to think about this. I do. Let me tell you, there's a lot to wrap your head around, a lot, because this,
Absolutely.
but the thing is that that's where exploration into those uncharted beliefs, that's how it starts. When you stop a minute and you say, I have to think about this. All right.
Arlene, get the app and watch the daily video each day where you have your breakfast. That's all. Just watch the one
Okay.
video a day,
Yeah, I am.
and don't believe any, don't believe
No, I've
anything. Just
got it.
watch.
I even wrote it here. I am the improbable dreamer.
And
I wanted that
yep,
one. The Iron Republic. That's another one. All right. I gotta look at that. Yeah. I've been
yep,
taking notes.
and and watch the daily video each day. And in a couple of weeks, you'll call me back and you'll be like, Dave, I hate you. My friends think I'm crazy. Okay, and I'll
My
say,
family
welcome.
disowned me, but
That's
okay.
right. It happens. It
I
happens.
bet. I
It
bet it
happens.
does.
It's all right. All
Take
right.
care. It
Thank you, Marlene. Thanks
was
so much.
great. Bye-bye. Hi, everybody. So you just saw me finish up the interview with Flat Earth Dave. I kid you not. I switched out because, well, it's a behind the scenes tech thing, but that's why I look a little bit different and my background is different. But anyway, I'm not kidding you. Like, literally, well, not literally, but figuratively at least, I do have smoke coming out of my ears because, you know what? On the face of it, when you hear this flat Earth, you must be like, what the what? That is so. Come on, you most people, and I are dismissive of it. But as I've said before in other shows, I pride myself in having an open mind. Okay, I pride myself on having an open mind to at least listen to theories and ideas and what the person or persons posit as how they justify. And let me tell you something, he gave me a lot of stuff that I was like, in other words, it's not just because I say it or because I believe it or I think it or I feel it. What kind of proof do they have to come up with this theory? And he's got some pretty interesting, theory as far as proof that you look at it and it's like, holy crap. There's still a lot of, I guess I wouldn't lie, there's a lot of still unanswered questions that I have because let's face it, that the round that we live in a round spherical world and we're surrounded by spherical worlds or stars or planets or whatever. This I want to say this is like one of the fundamental things that we learn when we go through school. This is not like, oh, open to interpretation. This is a pretty much a very standardized, like, of course. So believe me, when you go down that rabbit hole, that's a pretty fundamental thing to shift away from. How's that? For example, what I said was like let's say when you look at the Darwin and evolution, and it's true, they have never found that missing link. If you go down that idea of eventually modern day man or Cro-Magnon or whatever became Neanderthals or whatever, it was an evolutionary thing. They have never produced that missing link, never. All right. And now I'm even wondering, the fossils or stuff that they produce. But again, so I mean, if somebody tells me that, I would say, yeah, I could see nobody's produced it. Nobody has found that so-called missing link, the one that jumps from one to the other, where all of a sudden you're looking at a man. All right, what becomes modern day man. They have never been able to produce it. As a matter of fact, there's been a couple of hoaxes, but like Piltdown Man, but see something like that. But this, as far as the Earth being flat versus round, that's like a what? Because that in and of itself is like, and I've said it before, when you entertain other ideas or you're given proof of other ideas that we think of as fact, then what happens is you say, well, if this is possible and this other thing was not true, then what else is there that I think is absolutely fact that isn't? In other words, all of a sudden the horizon becomes really fuzzy. Like, okay, like, how much of what I believe as absolutes is not only far from absolute, but maybe even a lie? Okay, in other words, that, and I understand what he was talking about as far as that, we live in this, how can I say it, this belief system, this existence, which the parameters, make us feel safe and warm. How's that? Because it's a known quantity, sometimes depending on the personality, but most people, they, like and I've said it before, most people like their how can I tell you, their structure. How's that? They want their structure. They like their structure. I mean, sometimes they can even get smaller, as in, even your habits or your timetables or your routine. Now, let's go out where all of a sudden it's not just a question of, I go do groceries on Friday or something like that, or I do my wash on Tuesdays. No, this is about like, okay, I don't live in this world that I thought was, are we talking here like what he's saying? Besides the fact of the, of the Earth being flat, not round, and you're talking about extra continents and things like that. It's like, what? I mean, to me, I was like, geez, this is a great sci-fi novel. I'm serious. To me, it was like, this is fantastic. This is like, when H.G. Wells and Jules Verne, and they wrote all these, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, or Journey to the Center of the Earth, and all these things that at the time they were written, they were purely sci-fi. And, they're still sci-fi, but a lot of the things that they described in some of these books have actually been, technology has caught up with it. But to me, it was like, okay, so that's the part I'm trying to figure out. It's like, so what do you know? You sail off. There's no landmass that you could travel to, or fly. Like, how do you get to these places? I mean, to me, it's like, I don't know. I guess, and again, I'm thinking, wow, Are we, have we thought we were explorers all this time when in reality we're not? Because let's face it, you always think of exploration as far as many years ago. We look at the Vikings, and even I even did a show about the proof of they've had Phoenicians here in North America, BC, and then BC before the birth of Christ. And I'm like, so you mean this was all like an illusion? Yeah, you kind of explored, but only this small, not this. And I don't know. It's just like, it's like you really, and I think this is what I was trying to explain to Dave. If right now I told you, okay, that despite everything that you've shown me, I was ready to buy into it, you'd be like, no, you're not. You're lying to me. Because, and the truth is, if anybody ever was going to consider it, really seriously consider it and explore, and he, all the information that he gives, and I'm sure the links and everything with the app and on his desk, on his website, he himself admitted, at the beginning, I was thinking, what are you talking about? In other words, he had to go through it's a process. How's that? It's a process to, well, the first thing is, of course, that you open your mind to it. But the second is the process of exploration of verifying, is this or isn't it? Is this true? Possibly true, or forget it. Like, all right, this is, somewhere in there, I couldn't believe, I wouldn't believe anybody that right off the bat said, oh, by the way, yeah, absolutely, the earth is flat. What have I been thinking of all these years? I wouldn't believe anybody that said that. Absolutely not. Or at least I wouldn't believe that they were taking it seriously. All right? Because that's a fundamental change in the way of our existence. Now, that he posited some really super interesting things, absolutely. Absolutely. That little island out there in the middle of the Indian Ocean, that speck of dust, why is it getting all that attention? It's in the middle of nowhere. Made it sound like it was like a sandbar. I gotta look that. I'm gonna do my own research. Absolutely, I'm gonna do my own research, just to say, no, he's full of it, or boy, oh God. And it makes you think now that I agree. Those shots that he showed of these liftoffs being balloons, I was like, what? Because I'm thinking to myself, I don't know. And honestly, even though I live in Florida, I have never gone to see any launches. Even though I've always, well, living in Florida, you could travel easily to the Space Coast, to Cape Canaveral, and watch any of these rockets lift off. You can do that. But I've never been to one. I just never, the TV's been, and I'm like, wait, how can people, I mean, I know that even if you're there, you're not like right there, you watch from a distance. And I'm thinking to myself, how can anybody, could this fool somebody that's there watching a rocket take off? Can it be something that's not made of, that's a balloon, or made to look like it's something that it's not? And it's difficult to say when if I would have ever gone to one of these launches, I could say, nah, you know what? I've been there. And I can tell you that that's for real, because the flames or the smoke or the this or the that or whatever, there's no way that anybody could fake it. But I can't say that. I can't say that. And you know what? Again, and I'm going to come back to what I was telling him at the beginning. Whether this is true or not, whatever, that's besides the fact of, I think that, unfortunately, in the last 2 or 3 years, even though it's before that, I want to say that this disbelief or the cynicism and belief in the powers that be, or the people that make the rules, whether it's in science and medicine and whatever, space, NASA, all of that. Once upon a time, their word was like, hey, it was like Walter Cronkite. Nobody questioned it. everybody believed that absolutely, hands down, they wouldn't lie to us. They wouldn't, or massage the truth. How's that? And I think that little by little, people have been changing because people have been introduced or things have been revealed. And at one point, some of these people were considered conspiracy theorists or whatever, cuckoo birds. And I know a lot of times they were made to look like cuckoo birds. And they were like, as they say, on the fringes. Oh yeah, that odd person that believes whatever, fill in the blank. And then little by little, that outer fringe has been shrinking to the general, like the like us normies, the general population, which, how can I say, the ones of us that fall into that norm kind of thing, where if it was too way out there, it's like, oh, come on. That a lot of people, against their will, by the way, most of us against our wills, have woken up and said, hey, you know what? What I heard 20 years ago, 30 years ago, remember, this is depending on your age, that I thought, what a load of that person, man, that must be smoking some great stuff. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, you know what? That person, either that person turns out to be right, or number two, that's not as far-fetched as I thought. Or this blind faith that we have in these, how can I tell you, these people that make the rules, whether it's the government or certain agencies or whatever, that before we thought, no, they would never lie, they would never make things up, they would never manipulate us this way. Everybody now is going, not exactly. And let me tell you something, that's a very harsh awakening. All right. And sometimes, I mean, I'm the kind of person, I'd rather know the truth, as uncomfortable it may feel. And like I say, maybe I'll have a couple of drinks, sit down and go, oh, why'd you burst my bubble? But at the end of the day, I'd always prefer to have the truth. And this is what I was explaining to him, that I think that a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people are kind of like unhappy that to realize at some point that they've been lied to, or they've been manipulated, or how's this? Omission of truth. How's that? Because I know a lot of people say, well, certain things haven't been shared with the general public for national security. Let's go with that one. How's that? National security. They couldn't let you know because once upon a time I'd say, yeah, I understand that. I get it. But then come to find out that a lot of times as national security translates into, we want to keep it from the public because if you guys knew the truth, you would not be happy with us. In other words, the security has nothing to do with the national thing. It's more as in, we've got to keep up this illusion of who we are and how we take care of you guys in security. I mean, you guys as in, I'm going to call it the United States. How's this? Americans. No, that's really what the security part is. We're trying to secure ourselves. It has nothing to do with outside countries or other governments. And I think a lot of people are realizing, hey, there's a lot of information you're not sharing with us as Americans, which we're entitled to know. And, you get away with it because of national security, files being lost or destroyed or whatever, or just refusal to turn it over. You hear of people doing FOIA requests and they stall them, or they refuse them, or they, if something is national security, if it's classified or whatever, it's like, okay, good luck on that, or even now, certain documents that should have been released by certain years, they go ahead and they delay it. Why? Especially when a lot of the parties involved are dead. And they still don't release it. And the only thing I can think of is, okay, if we're talking something that happened 50 years ago or more, all the parties involved are pushing up daisies. Why would you not release this? The only thing I can think of is there's something unflattering that's going to come out about whoever is holding this information, which is usually the government. There's something here that even after 50 years, you don't want people to know about because you're going to because people are going to get shocked. The public is going to be shocked, and they're going to be like, what? You guys did that, or you allowed that, or you didn't do that? How's that? And that in and of itself will say, oh, and by the way, that means that all this time that you've been saying X, Y, and Z, you've been lying to us. What? One of those things that once you see it, you can't unsee it. And I think sometimes that's the only conclusion I can come to. But anyway, getting back to this whole thing of the flat earth, I think that's what I meant when I was telling Dave that 10 years ago, 20 years ago, he would have had this conversation, and he would have, nah. Even though, he found that lady that was saying, hey, we were being taught in school back in the 20s or the 30s that the earth was, that there was two versions. There was a flat earth version and a round earth version. I wasn't around then, but I don't know. Now most definitely there is more, what's the word I'm looking for? More acceptance to entertain the idea. How's that? I mean, you never know if at the other end of that, you're going to come out and say, I believe it. But at least before, I think people wouldn't have even entertained the idea. It would have been like, no, not going there. Okay? Are you trying to make fun of me? And this is, how can I say that for what he's describing? Or that distrust of what we've been given as the absolutes is just part of a bigger problem or a bigger cynicism that I think we are all going through in general. And you're always going to have people that refuse to believe, they got their head in the sand. It's like, no, you know what? Don't rock my existence. I don't want to know about it. You're crazy. And there's just no way you're ever going to budge them out of like, nah, no. I think that's a problem because, like I said, it doesn't mean just because you explore something or you entertain it or you research it doesn't mean at the end you're going to say, oh, I get it. I agree. No, you might get to the end of your research or your whatever and say, no, that doesn't still make sense to me, or that doesn't add up. No. But at least you look at it. I'm telling you. Oh, boy. As a matter of fact, I'm not even going to look at some of that material that he gave me till tomorrow as far as going to the things. And like I said, there's going to be links on the show, to his website and everything like that. And again, don't forget to subscribe and get notified. And also remember, you can sign up for my Substack newsletter on miamighostchronicles.com or mppellicer.com. And again, on that newsletter, I put out links to shows, announcements, new books, old articles, old videos, new podcasts, everything that's happening. I usually post it on the newsletter. And it usually comes out about once a week or once every 5 days, something like that. And of course, if you want links to any of the shows, whether it's Stories of the Supernatural, Supernatural Storytime, or Nightshade Diary, you can find them at miamighostchronicles.com. And again, whether it's the video version or if you want to listen to the podcast version with no commercial interruptions, I have links there. And you can listen from the browser, download the MP3, or you can connect to any of the major podcast platforms, and even not the so major ones, because I'm there too. Whatever it is, if you have a favorite one that you have, you can find me there. Stories of the Supernatural, Nightshade Diary, Supernatural Storytime, whatever the case might be, you're going to find it there. And again, thank you so much for coming back and sharing this time with me, because I'm telling you, this is what it's all about. And I loved it. Till next time, I have a lot of great guests coming on. A lot of them. So please come back. Take care.